The horrific truth of what the world is and was like without the influence of Jesus. This is a topic that you guys requested after our video yesterday reacting to a Joe Rogan Mike Tyson clip. And just buckle up, because today it's going to get uncomfortable, all right? I think we live in a society that is more or less attempts to be aligned with the virtues we see exhibited in Scripture. But this isn't how it's always been historically. In the world before Jesus was a much darker place, and I'm going to demonstrate that to you guys in a second. And there are parts of the world today within our recent memory that were very, very dark without Christian influence, Christian virtues, if you will. So we're going to unpack all of that. We're going to first look at the history, and then we're going to look at a modern example, and viewer discretion is advised. But before we do that, guys, please smash that like button. It costs you nothing, and it really does help a ton with getting this video pushed out further so we can continue contextualizing the gospel. So, what was the world like before Jesus came on the scene? You guys know me. I love highlighting emerging new Christian creators, and I came across this channel from Mike Winger. The channel is David Gozak, and David Gozak, he has a whole playlist on church history, and this is the last part of his video on Christianity and history. And so I want to unpack this and just play you guys just a little clip that is testifying to what the world was truly like before the influence of Christianity. You guys go subscribe, check out that playlist if you guys want to get a nice breakdown of church history in a nice condensed fashion. Okay, so watch this.
And the world had very low ethics and morals. Life was very, very cheap. You know, where individual life is valued and nourished and protected and cherished, often, not always, but often, this is a result of Christian influence upon the world.
I wish that we could have this conversation and be sober about this more often, because seldom is this acknowledged by the atheist, by the agnostic, by the person that's anti-Christian, by the person that's of a different religion. This is just historical fact. And so he's going to demonstrate this just briefly, and then I'm going to give you guys another more modern day example. So make sure you watch till the very end, because you don't want to miss it.
Let me read to you something from a letter that a Roman named Hilarion wrote to Alice. They wrote to them this letter talking about what to do about their children. And this is just a normal letter between family members. This is what they said. They said this: "Know that we are still in Alexandria. Do not be anxious. If they really go home, I will remain in Alexandria. I beg and entreat you, take care of the little one. And as soon as we receive our pay, I will send it to you. If by chance you bear a child, if it is a boy, let it be. If it is a girl, cast it out." Just
now this is common in that era, okay? And these are the types of things that were happening, okay? So this is, if it is a boy, let it be. If it's a girl, okay? Let me let David finish his thought here.
matter-of-factly mentioned in a letter. If you give birth to a girl, kill her. Get rid of her. Again, this is just normal life in the Roman Empire of the first century and later times as well. Christians were different. They were distinguished by their appreciation of human life, understanding that every life is made in the image of God.
That's good news. Trust me, that's a good thing. And this is true, and it's been exhibited even in the context of this happening. And you know what would happen, and you guys could, again, go do your own research of this, is when girls would get discarded, it would be the Christians that would go and pull them out of the rivers and take in the orphans and take in these babies, okay? And this is all throughout the early church in the Roman Empire, which made them distinct. It made them different. It made them value life extremely different. Now, I'm going to pivot and give you guys a modern example, okay? And this is going to get touchy, but it's true, okay? There was a policy up until 2015 that has caused is and will cause more catastrophic damage to one of the biggest countries in the world. Okay? This policy is called One Child Nation. And if you want to see the brutality of this policy in a country that has no Christian influence, in a country that has no real framework for the same values that we see in America, which is a bit more influenced by Christianity, you guys go watch this movie. It's on Amazon Prime. It's called One Child Nation. Okay, this is a country that my wife has actually been to on a missionary trip. And I'm just going to show you guys a bit of the trailer because it's honestly too graphic to talk about what was happening in China up until 2015. Okay, so check this out. You guys catch that? You guys see the language she's using? Do you guys know what they're talking about? Again, I got to kind of tiptoe around this, but do you guys understand what they're talking about?
Chinese government would come in and they'd bash down your house, take the child.
我听我爸说，有个双胞胎姐姐跟我长得一模一样，现在在美国。
我手中的发现不念造假，涉及全国各地。
像你还有你家是在全国做这个做的最大的吧。
Throughout my life, I was taught to believe the love of my country was equal to love of the government and the party. I was so angry, even with my own family, that there wasn't more to be said or done. Everyone we spoke to said the same things about the policy.
没办法啊，现在不限制一些谈的。
This is interviewing a lot of the people who were enforcing the one-child policy. This is very dark. I can't read the subtitles because they're too graphic. What's being said here, okay? But it doesn't take a rocket scientist to fill in what was happening up until 2015 in one of the biggest countries. Okay, and the impact that this had, and I'm going to tell you guys the impact that this is still having. She said so many babies were taken away.
你继续找那个双胞胎女儿的事情过来了。
哎，现在16岁了。
I want.
So, one of the most brutal documentaries I've ever seen. It was really hard to watch, but it's called One Child Nation. If you got an Amazon account, you could hop on, watch that whole thing. Extremely graphic, and the most ironic part about it is it still lands in a spot at the end of the documentary where it has not a pro-life conclusion, believe it or not. But that was up until 2015. In one of the biggest countries that's void of the influence of Jesus, unlike countries in the West and specifically America. And America is far from perfect. And the West is far from perfect. But that's an example. We can go into North Korea and some of the stuff happening there, but that's real. Now, what people don't know is the implications of that specific policy. What people don't know is that what's happening there right now is they're having trouble keeping up with their population, meaning that the older people are retiring and there's not enough younger workers because this policy put a lid on their population growth. And there's a lot more men than women in China right now. And if you just use common sense, what happens? It's not enough babies being born. When the population stops growing in a country, very, very unhelpful things happen. Okay? Because you got to at least reproduce yourself, in your family. And so that's now not happening. And if you look at some of the reports that are coming in, they're saying that the future for China is bleak. They're saying that it's not going to be good. I just had somebody on Joe Rogan do an exhaustive interview on that, and specifically how not good things are looking because of this policy, which they thought was going to slow down the population growth, which they didn't understand. And it's funny how God works this way, is that they actually needed to increase population growth. So that's right now. Like that's going, we're going to see this unfold in real time in the next decade or so. And so those are just two examples. Roman Empire, the discarding of girl babies, and the one-child policy. Some really, really dark stuff. But this just goes to show, if you go to parts of the world today that don't have Christian influence, that don't have the gospel and the view of the fruit of the Spirit or the Beatitudes driving some of their paradigm. Again, I'm not saying America is a Christian nation. I'm saying that there's influence here that we take for granted on our civilization, on Western society, that I think people don't quite track how different nations that are directly influenced by Christianity versus nations that are completely void of Christianity. It's a dark world out there, man. So I want to hear from you guys in the comment section. What do you think about this? Have you given this much thought? Also, I would like to encourage you to check out the previous video where we talked about this regards to Rogan and Tyson having some of this conversation. That was yesterday's video. I'll put that up over here. And if you want to become a monthly partner in our online community, that will be linked up over here as well. All right, I'll see you over there. Peace.